What's going on, guys? This is Mr. Teej, 66 Movie Reviews. I am Mr. Teej, 66. Well, in honor of Men in Black International coming out this weekend, I thought I'd go back and look at the film that started it all. The 1997's Men in Black. Now, unfortunately, this is pretty much, in my opinion, the only good film of the Men in Black series. I'll get the sequels out of the way. Number 2 was okay. Some of the supporting characters in that are given more screen time, and they're pretty funny. But overall, it's kind of a rehash, but it's watchable. Third film was an absolute disaster. It makes no sense. The time travel stuff is just so convoluted and so stupid, and I just don't understand what's going on. Barely any laughs, in my opinion. And with an ending, it's just idiotic beyond belief. I was just like, wow, that movie sucked. But anyway, let's go back to the original film. And if you don't know the plot, if you've been living under a rock for 20-something years, is Will Smith plays a NYPD detective who's recruited into a secret government organization called the Men in Black, which, of course, polices and monitors extraterrestrial activity on Earth. There's a new development. There's something called the Galaxy, which is like a little tiny jewel or ball of infinite energy, and an evil bug wants to get a hold of it and do some bad shit, and that's really all I'm going to say. The reason I think that this movie it works a lot better than the other two is twofold. One, the screenwriting is absolutely fantastic. The writer was Ed Solomon, who did the Bill and Ted films, and I think the quality of the writing in this movie is superior to any of the other films. Just the dialogue is sharp and very witty. There's lines like, you seen the movie Casablanca? Yeah, same thing, except no Nazis. Oh! The World's Fair. Why else would we hold it in Queens? Just little things like that, just snippy, dialogue, which I'm sure some of it was improvised. But, just the writing really stands above the other films. And he wasn't involved in any of the sequels, and whoa, does it fucking show. The other thing I think that makes this movie better is the plot is, despite the fact that I described the story, it's kind of throwaway. Like, it's there, but it's just treated sort of like, no big deal. This is just sort of another thing we do, another crisis. We dealt with this shit 1,000 times. There's one line where Rip Torn as Zev, the head of the MIB, just sort of goes, sucks, don't it? Just like really deadpan, just whatever, no big deal sort of thing. And the sequels, I felt like they tried to concentrate on the story too much, and the story's not really, that shouldn't be the point. I think it's what makes this movie, this first one so good. It's just throwaway. It's just there, just another day at the office, just a Tuesday, or whatever. They do with this every day. And of course, the chemistry, you have to mention the chemistry between Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones. Absolutely superb. I mean, those two riff off each other wonderfully. Will Smith is sort of the more upbeat, or rambunctious, spitting off one-liners. And Tommy Lee Jones, I think, but steals so many scenes from him by just being the deadpan, taking this completely seriously. It's done like a police procedural, except with aliens. And those two just click wonderfully. There's still moments in this movie which crack me up to this day. And this movie's over, 17, 22 years old. Jesus, I cannot believe it's that freaking old. But yeah. The visual effects still look they're decent enough. I saw this movie in the theaters when it came out in 97, and back then, of course, the visual effects were mind-blowingly awesome. I mean, you'd never seen CG characters you had with T2 in Jurassic Park, but it was definitely a high, step in the right direction for CGI. It's not as polished as the stuff today, but it's still pretty decent. The climax of the film, which involves Will Smith fighting the bug, before he can leave the Earth, is surprisingly low-key for a movie of this kind. I mean, compared to today with something like, Avengers Endgame, where it's just a shit ton of explosions and CGI all over the place. The ending of this movie feels decidedly low-key. I was really surprised watching it again. Great set design, the sets have a very spherical sort of look to them, just very bare bones, but still very interesting to look at. Yeah, overall, I think this movie is still a lot of fun. The music by Danny Elfman is absolutely fantastic. Just very, the beginning theme is kind of serious, but kind of not serious. That dun 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 sort of theme. It's very jazzy, and it works really well. It's being both a comedy and still end of the world, big, epic space science fiction stuff. Another reason I think this movie has held up better than the sequels, there's a certain degree of almost kind of nastiness to it. Like some not quite dark, but twisted, weird shit happens. Like people get and aliens get blown up and like in the goo and stuff. It's just done a little more. It's kind of sick, kind of twisted, but not get. It doesn't get too mean spirited. I think the sequels became more generic and family friendly. I mean, more trying to please everyone more. And I think this movie has a little more guts and edge to it than some of the later films. But negatives, I guess, some of the CGI is still not great. It's okay, but I don't know. It's kind of dated. The music, the song by Will Smith, "Men in Black," which is of course became a chart-topping hit and was played at every single freaking school dance I ever went to. It's pretty fun to listen to. Overall, I would still give this movie an 8.5. It's still a blast to watch. It's showing its age. I guess that's the only major negative is it's showing its age a little bit, but overall, I would still really recommend it. Avoid the sequels like The Plague. I mean, I guess people have varying opinions on them. I thought they were junk. The new one, The Men in Black International, doesn't really look that great to me. I'm probably going to skip that. But anyway, that's my review. This is Mr. TH666, and I will see you next time.